I even have more new things to tell you because another version dropped today. So I have about a page and a half of things to go over with you. And everything that I'm going to talk about uh, first, everything affects all people using SpeechCAT. But the things that I'm going to talk about in the second half are going to be things that are more focused on, well, probably only the last 30 minutes will be focused on just card captioning, because some of the things, court reporters don't care about. But everything else, the whole first hour is going to be for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and bring up SpeechCAT. And so I just updated. So this is actually SpeechCAT version 10.3.86, which is in beta. I didn't even put it on the beta site yet. I just got it around 4:30. So, okay, so let's start on the main menu because we've got some cool things on the main menu here. We now have a page count. If you look at your main menu, the very last column you should see is page count. And that is only if you are on version 85, of course. If you're not, then you're not going to see it. But when you first install 85, all of the jobs that you have will not by default be, they will not have page counts. But if you go into the style, I believe it is, or maybe it's options. It is options. Okay. So if you go into options, there is now a miscellaneous tab. And on that tab, there is one button and it says calculate page counts. And when you click on that, it is going to update your page counts for all of the jobs that you have listed. I'm just really quickly going through. Okay. For those of you that ever use Digitran by itself, and this group, I don't think we have anyone that uses Digitran by itself, but on the recording tab of options, there is now an additional option, and it is called Digitran for VR track is set to room 1. And this is for people who are mostly digital reporters and they don't have a VR track, so they just want the VR to say room 1. Okay, editing and scoping. Okay, while we haven't really added anything to this tab, it should be noted that the warn on large deletions was not working because I had someone that did the dreaded, you accidentally hit Control A and keep typing and everything disappears. That's supposed to not happen when you have warn on large deletions with a character count. I tell people to put the character count, to set the character count as this is how many characters you don't want to have to retype. And so this is actually higher than I generally have it. I generally have it at like 3,500 because I'm really lazy when it comes to typing. And so I want, if it's almost never that I highlight a large chunk and delete it. So I want just about anything that is more than a sentence long to query me before it goes and deletes any large chunk. Moving on. Okay, I'm gonna I'm going to talk about the captioning because it's right here. The captioning options in options, the captioning tab in options. The very first thing, caption editor word count. If you have it set to 0, you will not see your caption editor, or what we call the word buffer. So you have to have at least 1 in it if you want to use the caption editor. What's very new to captioners is document sizing. There are some streaming services, some services that want the text to just roll all the way across the screen. And so we added the ability to size the document to your screen, size it to your display set, or ignore document sizing altogether. Captioners know why this is important. The rest of you don't care, and that's fine. Let's go to the real-time tab. We have not changed anything here. SRE, okay. This is new. Normally, when we need to do backups of Dragon, like we need to do an export or a backup and a restore, we have to exit out of SpeechCAT completely and go into Dragon alone, which none of us really care to do. Most of us like to stay in SpeechCAT. So we added the ability for you to get to the Nuance user management screen here, so that if you want to back up your profile or restore your profile, you can do that here. So this is just a new feature that allows you to do your backup super quick from your options screen.
Adria?
Yes.
Is this what Adrian Kelly was speaking to in the forum?
What are you talking about specifically?
Nuance user management.
Did he say something about that today?
Well, I read it today.
I read it as well, but I'm trying to let me pop in there and see what he said about it, because I know he said something, but I'm not quite sure. So let me just go check real quick. Beta.
And Adria, when you get a chance, if you can go back to that real-time tab, I have a question.
You bet. Okay, let's see. He said, I thought this feature was meant to back up your voice model, user management. So I attempted to back up the voice model. It says open Nuance user management, which allows users to manually back up and restore user profiles without opening Dragon. Oh, he's saying that when he tried it, it asked him to back up to a stick. Okay. So it didn't ask me that. But so what he's saying in the beta is that he tried to do it, but at the time it had asked him to put in a flash drive. And so I think that that was last week. So I was able to have them fix that, Don. So yeah, that's why it's working. So are you able to do it?
I haven't tried it.
What's that? Oh, you don't have it yet?
I haven't tried it.
Do you see it or
Yeah.
no?
I see it.
Okay, good. Okay, let me go back to real time. Yes, ma'am, Miss Sally.
On your real time, should we court reporters have those boxes checked? Because I don't have any of those checked.
Okay, let me address that, because that's good questions. First, the foot pedal, keypad, Q&A inserts macro. This is something that mostly a digital reporter would use,
Okay,
because what that does is it allows the person using Digitran to set up their foot pedal, and when they press it down, it'll write the Q, and release, it writes the A.
okay,
And so it's just an easy way for them to mark. The custom data drive, right now, I don't really need to have it checked at all because I'm using C, which is the normal drive. I
Mhm.
have a second hard drive on my computer, and that's D. And so I used to have it writing everything to D. And so it just gives you the opportunity to put all of your data on your secondary drive. And this is why we did that, because a lot of people were getting solid state drives, but the solid state drives are really small. They're like 500 gigabytes, and that's small
Yeah.
compared to, for court reporters who record a lot of audio every day.
Right.
And so the secondary drives are able to be so much bigger. And so we said, well, let's give them the opportunity to be able to write all their data to the larger drive. So that's
Okay.
what that's about.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. The last two check marks here,
Mhm.
dual mic control in real time is something that a lot of people don't recall. So I'd like to just really quick remind y'all of what that is. Dual mic control in real time, when this is checked, you can actually have the option to turn off your room and just leave your mask recording, or turn off your mask and just leave the room recording. So for instance, when would you ever need to do that? For a readback. Let's say that I never stop. I tell people never stop the recording
Right.
unless you're going to lunch, or you're going to have a really big break. Otherwise, don't stop your recording. You don't need to stop it for playback, right? So don't stop it. But if you don't stop your voice track, then it's going to pick up what you say when you read back, which you really, you want it on the record, but you want it on the room record, not on your voice track. So having this checked allows you to say, okay, I want the room to keep recording just in case somebody says something that's important while I'm doing my readback. And then after my readback, I turn the mic back on for my mask, but I never turned off the room.
Okay.
So that's really cool. And I have mine set to open. So when we go into real time, I'll show you how it works. And then this very last check for show conflicts, you only want it on if you are a person who uses conflicts. I do. And so I leave mine on. If you look to the right, it says conflicts resolution moves to next. If you're the kind of person that goes to scope and says, okay, before I do anything, I'm going to resolve all my conflicts, and you literally just go through and have it go from one conflict to the next and resolve them. I don't do that. And I don't like that. And I'll tell you why, because in order for me to know what the right conflict is, I need to read the sentence.
Right.
And so I don't want to just bounce from one to the other. I just address them as I go through. And so I do want to show my conflicts, and there is the option in both real time and scope to turn conflicts off. So if you were using conflicts, and why would you want to turn them off? Let's address that. So let's say that you're done with your job, you're packing up, and the attorney says, hey, Sally, could you give me a rough draft copy today? And you say, sure, no problem. Not a problem at all. So you go ahead and go in and you, you go into scope, or you can do it from real time, and you say, well, should I leave the conflicts in? Will it confuse that person if I leave the conflicts in? So let's just say that you decided you wanted to remove the conflicts because that would be less confusing to this attorney. You literally in real time can say remove conflicts and then go to the flash drive and not have the conflicts there. I like my conflicts because to me, it says it's one of these 2 words or it's one of these 4 words. And, you're reasonably intelligent. You can figure it out. That's what I think, at least when I look at it. You guys know attorneys far better than me. So, and you know your individual attorneys. So you would know and you would be the best judge of whether or not you wanted to leave your conflicts in before you did a rough draft copy.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, let me bounce on up to preferences. Okay, preferences, we've got some new stuff here. Okay, again, this is a Digitran thing. So real-time writers don't use it a lot, but Digitran Alt-S shortcut enabled. That is a recording shortcut for on and off that digital reporters like. So we gave them that. For those of you who have been with us for many, many years, right above Digitran Alt-S shortcut enabled is load all jobs. I know, Pavan, you and I went over this because Pavan, Don, Diane, people have been, Sally, you've been with us forever. But I don't know if you keep your history list the way Don and Pavan and Diane do. When you keep a big history list and you have a big current list or a big courtroom list, when you are loading your SpeechCAT, it takes a while. And it takes a while because you have a lot of information in the database. And so you can come over here and say, I'm going to deselect load all jobs because I don't want it to load all jobs. And I'm going to come over here and say, load 50 jobs. And so when I exit out of SpeechCAT and come back in, it's only going to show me the last 50 jobs I took.
Okay.
And it's as easy as turning it back on for them to appear again. But this just makes SpeechCAT load up a little faster because we're not having to load up for all of the things that we're not even using, right? Okay. Another thing, we've added spaces after prefixes are unbreakable. So if you want to make it so that these prefixes that you might want to use are actually going to not have spaces so that they are actually going to be slammed up against the word they use, right? Like we want them. And so that's what this does. And you can edit the prefix, you can delete the prefix, or you can even add a prefix. So that's new. Auto, mwah, I love you, my darling. Gabby's saying bye-bye. Okay, baby, you be careful, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I love your dress. You're gonna go look for shoes tonight.
Probably tomorrow.
Okay,
Or whenever.
Okay.
Sometime this week.
okay. Got everything?
Yes, ma'am. Love you.
Love you, sweet babe.
Bye.
Close the door, would you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Angel. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. So where are we? That's old. Okay. We were having some issues with the job speakers not updating to the case. That's been fixed. Okay. At one point this was all my fault, so I'm gonna take credit for it. Even though it was not a nice thing and several people were not happy with me for a little while and it was all my fault. At some point, my untrans started showing up without spaces in front of them. And so I said, well, the spaces that are supposed to be in front and behind of my untrans are gone. So add them back in. So he added them back in. And then you guys started having multiple spaces in front of and behind your untrans. That was all my fault. And so he removed them and then they were gone. It was a mess for a little while, but we got it all figured out. And now if you want extra spaces in front of your untrans, you check it off. It happens for me, so I'm gonna have it checked. If it doesn't happen for you, leave it alone. Okay, use display set from style. I think that's been there for a long time. So I think that's it for
Maybe-
this screen.
When you were interrupted, you were about to tell us about auto backup conflict,
About what?
auto backup conflicts.
Thank you, Don. Okay, so what was happening was, you know, that we're adding things so quickly that I would add something to my brief forms, or my word swaps, or my conflicts, and then I'd do an update and I'd go back in and I'd have the standards instead of mine. And I didn't like that because I have, just like we all have the ones we have for a reason. We don't use other people's because they seldomly work for us. So it's really important that our conflicts, our brief forms, and our word swaps are what are copied and replaced when we do an update. And so that's what that's all about. I always want SpeechCAT to back up all of that and spit it back out for me after it does the update so that I have my own and not what SpeechCAT deems to be the standards. Does that make sense? Okay. Conflicts, these are my conflicts, word swaps. Okay. There has been a change to brief forms. There's been a few changes to brief forms, actually. You can now make a brief for your voice strokes. So let's say that you have a voice stroke that is like my auto wit call. All my voice strokes are verbal, but let's say that I used my verbal voice stroke and it didn't work. And so and because it happens every now and again for me, maybe I want to add my wit call so that I could actually bring it in with keystrokes. So I'm going to click on add and I'm going to just do wit call. And instead of long form text, which is normally what we use, I would do long form rich text file. And then I come down here under long form where it says RTF file and I'm going to browse and it takes me straight to my include files. I'm going to go to my autos and I'm going to go get my wit call. Don't tell me I don't have my wit call in here. There it was. I saw it. Auto wit call. Okay. And open. And so now, if I type in wit call, it's going to bring in my whole witness call voice stroke. If I want a new line, then I would click on adds new line. And I'm assuming that's before, because after there's always going to be a new line. So I'm going to put a check in there just to make sure, and I'm going to try it when we go to real time. I'm going to click on add, and there you go. So that's how you can assign some quick shortcuts to your voice stroke files if you'd like, or any file that you'd like to bring in, that maybe whether you want to make it a voice stroke or not. Okay, so that is brief forms, and that's options. Okay, so we've got all of our options covered. Now let's talk about these new icons at the top of our screen. Right now I have the program view set to all because I deal with all of you. And so I see all of my icons. You may not. If you're a court reporter and you have it set to court reporter view, then this is what you see. If you're a captioner and you have it set to captioning view, you see much, much less. But everybody sees these two new icons. What are they? This black piece of paper is view notes. And what it is, let me get some place where I have notes. Okay, and if I click on the black little notes thing, no notes, great. Trying to find something with notes. There we go. Okay, so why would you want to see your notes? These are the same notes you see on the left side of the screen when you're in scope. This is what you see. Why would you need to open it to reference something that you had, that you made some mark or some note about? But also, let's say you're sending the audio to a typist. It's a good idea to go ahead and bring up this notes file and save it. You can do file, save as, save it wherever you want. And then you can send that with the audio to your typist. And they have the time that every question and every answer. And so that may or may not help them. But I think that that's a cool new feature. Let's talk about this other little feature. Edit acquired offsets. Okay, what's this all about? This is really more about court reporters, even more than court reporters, transcriptionists, remote scopists, and you as a court reporter will have this situation. So what this is all about is most of you have these handy dandy nifty little recorders, right? Little digital recorders that you put out, your backup, your digital backup. Because you put them over here and over there and over there, we all know that they're going to start at different times, meaning there's going to be a whole conversation you had with the attorneys when you greeted them when they walked in, all that stuff. There's going to be a lot of dead air or air that is not appropriate to stuff that's not relevant, okay, or dead air, meaning that where your SpeechCAT audio starts is not going to be where your digital recorder audio starts. Does that make sense? They're all going to be different. So if you import you acquire your audio files from your digital recorder, what you're doing is you're finally able to say, okay, take all this dead air off and give me all of my recordings starting at the same time. That way, when you do F7 to switch from one to the other, you're much more likely to be at the same position. Make sense? It's very easy. I'm going to go ahead and acquire an audio file real quick. So I'm going to do import, acquire files for job. I'm going to just go and get any old audio file. Okay, and I've imported an audio file. So now that I have an audio file that I've imported into this job, I should be able to do edit acquired offsets. There we go. So here it is. It tells me that the job title is State versus Chauvin. The acquired file count is 1, meaning I could have acquired multiple job files. And I'm going to do, because I only have the 1, I'm going to do edit selected offset, and it's going to bring me here, and I can listen to the file, find out what I need, what I don't need, and then say, okay, here's where the audio actually starts. So you'd pause it and you'd say, okay, set offset. Would you like to set the starting offset of this file here? Yes. And now it's going to start there. Simple as that. And if you have multiple files, you just listen to them one at a time to make sure you're getting the offset correct for each of them. This is a powerful tool. Very, very helpful for those acquired files.
Adria, quick question.
Please.
Does it preserve the original audio?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. So let me write that down. Edit acquired. And we want to know, does it maintain the original file?
Yes. In case you have to redo or whatever else.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
I
Thank
will
you.
ask, and when I send you guys the video of this class, I will have that question answered for you.
And it appears they must be WAV files.
Yes, and that is a problem. And we've already mentioned that to the programmer. So she's working on adding, because, you know, if you compress it, it's going to be an MP3. And almost all of the ones that come from those digital recorders are, they are actually MP3s. They're different. Some of them are WMAs. And so we're going to definitely do the MP3s and the WMAs. The waves are already there. Is there any other format that comes to your mind, any of you right now, that we should make sure we have covered?
I believe mine's WMA.
Yes, WMA. We will make sure that WMA works, because here's what I told the programmer. If we already work with these files, we need to work with them here too. Do you know what I mean? If we can acquire them, then we should be able to offset them. And
I use Audacity for backup, Adria,
what's that?
and that's the op file, but I said I use Audacity for backup.
Why?
which is the op file, AUP, but I'm able to actually convert it to MP3R or waves.
Yes. And there are also a great many conversion programs out there.
Well, if I want to use it, like put it in my program here, I
I'm
just
sorry.
convert it so I can use it.
Your audio is
Like when I
really,
want to listen to files and I'm playing them back and forth, I put it, I can just, in Audacity, it allows you to convert it
yes,
before you put it on a flash drive.
yes. And if you have an Olympus recorder,
Did you understand what I said?
no,
I apologize. I am in I'm actually in a hotel, hot, what do you call it? Hot. Mhm.
would you chat it to me?
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you come and go. Like I hear one
Okay.
word every third
It
word.
really wasn't that important. I was just mentioning a different file type, but I am able to convert it anyway by myself, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people don't use that. So anyway, it's okay.
Well, I have an Olympus recorder and I love it. And Olympus has their own program for listening to the audio. And if you have that program, you can set it to when you download it to have it convert to wave. And so that's very handy too. That's very handy. But there are just so many free programs out there that convert these days, whether it's audio, video, and they're free. So that's a good thing, something that I like. But we are gonna add it so that you guys can use all of your favorite recorders.
That sounds like a good option, but here's my issue. I don't like the way when you're scoping and using the foot pedal with AudioScribe, I don't like the way it backs up. So I don't know if that's something that you guys can work on and make it happier for some of us. But
What do you mean by you don't like the way it backs up? That's very vague.
I don't like, when you take your foot off the pedal and it backs up like so many, or if you want to go back further and you have to keep pressing, or you
No, you
turn
don't.
it too high.
All you have to do is move the step.
Right. So you either move the step and get it back, but then it's not quite. What I do is I go to program files and I put my AudioScribe audio into ExpressScribe.
Okay,
You
well
can set your foot pedal though you can set your foot pedal to address that issue.
Well, right, but on AudioScribe, if you want to keep going back, you just keep pressing it, and you don't have to lift it up. But if you have it, even if you have it on the middle of an AudioScribe, you have it in the middle for your steps. And if you want to go further, you still have to lift your foot up and put your foot down. I mean, you still do it like that. So I like that feature to acquire the files, but I don't care for the playback with the foot pedals, what I'm saying.
Noted. That's the first time I've ever had anybody complain about the way the foot pedal works.
It could be that I've just used ExpressScribe for so many years and they're different. But I much prefer the way the foot pedal behaves with the ExpressScribe.
Okay, noted. I'll query the Trailblazer page and see if anybody else feels that way. And if there are more people that feel that way, then we'll address it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm now at the beach. I'm going to turn you guys, I'm going to put you on mute and still listen.
Okie doke.
Okay.
Okay, let's get back to here. Okay, number of pages, we got that. Okay, someone had asked for, let me go back to the program view for all. Someone asked for the ability to see total pages. Pardon me while I digress for a minute. If you want to see how we install and remove, that's what I'm about to do. Because 86 is problematic already. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so it's going to be in 86, not 85. And it's not showing in 86, but down here in the status bar where you see there's a C for moved by character, moved by word, and then you'll see in mine it says 160. That's the absolute line number, meaning from the start we are on the 160th line of this document. And then it tells you the page number and the line number. I'm on page 7, line 5 here. And then insert or overwrite is what this one says. And then you will see after that, someone wanted like total pages. So page 7 of 15. That's what that is about, but it's not in 85. It's supposed to be in 86, but 86 looks like it's got a scoping problem. So none of that. Okay, brief forms we took care of. Load all jobs we took care of. Conflicts, set spaces, we did that. Did that. Did that. Did that. Did that. Okay, let's go to the style. So we're going to go edit and edit styles. If you're a captioner, it's stations. And I'm going to open them. Okay, so on the Q&A tab of styles, we can now do a new line before the question. Yes, we've always done a new line before the question. This is an additional new line. And this is, I'm not quite sure which country asked for this. Generally, this is something that's going to come from a different, like for instance, you might notice that you can number your questions. Why would you want to number your questions? Well, American reporters may not want to, but Canadian reporters have to. They can only do so many, they can only ask so many questions during an EAU. EUO, sorry, examination under oath. And so they have to number their questions, and this is what it looks like. I actually think it's kind of cool. So there would literally be a number before the question. And then if you wanted a new line before an extra new line before every question, then it would look like this. So, and you can always do another extra line after. Okay. I don't know how many of you know that you have this, so I'm just gonna real quick mention it. The custom fields, custom 2, and custom 3. We use them a lot for captioning. Recently, we were talking about the need for a new line and 5 spaces. And we were talking about how, like some people were saying, new line, new paragraph. Is that right, Pavan? Is that what some people were saying? New line, new paragraph?
Yeah, I say both of those.
And I was like, ooh, I don't want to do that. And so I'm so lazy. And so I wanted to be able to just say one word. So I use my custom 3. I put in 5 spaces in the custom text up here. And then I call custom 3 SCO. That's my custom 3. So now when I say SCO, it's automatically going to put, I think I probably put more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, apply. Yeah. Okay. So now when I say SCO, basically it's going to be like saying new line, new paragraph when I am using this style. So I'm now configuring all of my styles for custom 3 to have 5 spaces and nothing but 5 spaces. Now, if let's say that I wanted to use this when I was in a speaker, and my speaker had, all my speakers are indented by an inch, then I would want it to look like this, right? So you can do that too. That's the thing you can do in custom that you can't do by saying new line, new paragraph. Is you can make sure that it stays in that format that's your format. So that's new there. I don't think we have.
Adria, may I go back 1 second there? When you
Yes.
said new line, do you have to check off that box for new line also? I know you
No.
put the spaces in. No, okay.
No, because when you say SCO, it's gonna go ahead and put in a new line and 5 spaces.
Okay.
Okay. We've just discovered this. It's actually Lauren Barnhill who discovered this. She's so brilliant. We were trying to figure out how we could do this, and she figured it out. And we were like, "Whoa, skies opened." You know, it's wonderful when you guys come up with things and you teach me. I just get so tickled by that. Okay, so that's something new in styles I wanted to show you. Okay, let's go into real time. I want to show you something, and this is not necessarily new. But I don't think a lot of people use it because I don't think a lot of people know about it or remember it. Let me put it like that. Okay, so here is my boom mic. So notice that I have a padlock on both of my screens. Do you see that? I've got a padlock over here on the Digitran screen and a padlock over here on the real-time screen. If I turn on my mic, they're working together. They both came on and we're recording, right? Now, let's say I have to do a read back. But again, I do not want to stop recording the room. I just don't want extra text to be falling into my transcript from my mask. And so I'm going to click one time on this little padlock. And now I've broken the chain. So now I'm going to turn off my mic, my voice. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test, test. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is.
Adria, I can't hear you. I don't know if anyone else is having that problem.
No, it's muted. No, I can't hear her either.
I cannot hear her either.
I can't.
How's that?
There you
Much better.
I must have accidentally hit my desktop. I have two mics. I have this desktop mic that is what me and Michelle have been using for at least 5 or 8 years. It's a great little microphone. That's my Zoom mic. And then this is the mic that I dictate with for cart captioning. And then I also have my mask connected so I can pick up either one and any one and go. But somebody asked me a question today, and it was a very good question. Somebody was talking about the ooh. Oh God, now I forgot the question. Damn it.
Adria, how can I tell by looking at the screen which mode it's in right now?
Whether I'm in real-time Carter captioning, you mean?
No, whether my mask is muted and the room is recording.
Oh, okay. So the room is recording because you can tell right here it says recording. But over on my mask, it's not recording because you see it's off. Now,
Broken chain.
I'm sorry?
Like the old broken visual, the broken chain we used to have.
Yes, we used to have a chain, remember?
That was a good visual, you could tell.
It was very visual because it was a chain and it used to break when you do that. And now we don't have the chain anymore. But yeah, you just have to notice whether or not, well, I mean, words are going to be dropping, of course, when your voice track is on. And I believe that the bars bounce regardless when Yeah, see, the bars are bouncing whether I'm recording or not. So you really want to make sure that you see the word recording flashing in red. That's what I'm always looking for.
So that would be a good little wish list
What,
item
what's that?
to have something that shows you also that your mask is on and ready,
So maybe,
rather than just words, just because I may think I've turned it on, but they haven't really spoken yet, but I know they're about to. So,
very
I
good
mean,
point.
if you could, that would be great, because like this for me, you know, when they watch a video in the middle of a hearing,
Yes,
I don't like to turn it completely off for that very reason, in case somebody says that one thing like, you know, stop, you know, or whatever.
right.
So I love the feature, but sometimes I want to go back on anticipating they're about to start, but I might make an error with just looking at it being a black mic.
Well, long ago, the reason that we stopped showing the monitor on the VR was because we didn't want people reading back from the VR track. But I think that it's necessary. I think we should have the monitor bar on the VR track because that's the only thing that's going to show you that it's live.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm never, I mean, you know, I have the same, you know, channels set up the same way. So I know if I'm reading back, I know I'm always reading back from one.
Right. And
Like,
that's the default
it's,
channel. So we shouldn't really have to worry about that. So
and
I'm
if
going
they
to have them
start to read
add,
back, if they start to read back from their voice track, either they'll stop immediately and in a millisecond be over on one,
right,
or they'll have everything they need and they'll just read back from their voice.
right, exactly.
So
I think that long ago, I think there must have been a time when it was affecting readback negatively. It's gotta have been, but that's way gone because I don't even remember it. So I'm
Adrian,
going, yes,
I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
no, I
Quick
said that.
question.
Yes.
There used to be a keystroke that would allow you to turn off that extra channel. And I believe it was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was Control Insert. And that would break the chain that you would see. And then you could hit it again, one-handed, Control Insert. I'm going way back, but I believe that was the keystrokes.
That is amazing that you remember that.
Once in a while,
Amazing.
even a blind pig gets a truffle now and again.
That's a good one. Okay.
It's true.
Okay, so another thing that we have here, if you go to real-time feed, there is a feature called Synchronize SpeechCAT Viewer. This is if you're using the viewer, and this is just to make sure that you're in sync with your viewer, and this is usually done if you resend the text. That's why it's right below resend text. Let's say that you've made changes to the text, like you're one of those people that edits on the fly. You can hit resend text and it's actually going to resend with your changes. And so the person that's viewing via viewer will see your text with your changes. And I think that's a really cool thing. So I wanted to show you that. Oh, and I wanted to tell you about this. Okay, so let's say that there is a word you want to look up or you want to get the right spelling for or whatever. You can highlight that word and do Control-Shift-V as in Victor, and it will add it to this virtual vocabulary file. And basically, this is all for the purpose of helping you to remember that you need to add and train those words, or add or train those words. And this is something that we've had in the program since the very beginning. And I think that most of us have forgotten we ever knew about it. So I wanted to mention that to you guys.
And Adria, that captioning or in real time?
I think so. We need to go to captioning, so let's go check.
I'll let you know later so you don't have to.
No, no, I'm gonna
That's
go.
very cool.
I think it's a really good thing.
Adrian, you're saying that we can do that, highlight Control V while we're on the record?
Yes.
Huh?
Control Shift V.
Control Shift V.
Yeah. You just highlight and Control Shift V.
Thank
And
you.
it'll add whatever you have highlighted to this list.
And then where's the list when you get done with work and you want to go back
Right.
and train them?
That's a really good question. And I should know the answer to that. But I can't remember right now. I know it's in there because I just went through this. Let's see.
I have a notebook right now that I write those words down in, or I put them in my scripting window, like go back and fix this mess, this word or whatever it was, so I don't forget.
Yes.
That's exactly what I do. This is wonderful. I love this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let me.
And Adria, I'm not going to sleep, but I'm going to turn my camera off for a minute because my husband just brought me some dinner because I haven't had dinner yet. So y'all don't have to watch me eat, but I'm still with you.
I know you are.
Cooking while we're doing this, multitasking. Feel
Tell
bad.
Jim, can he come over here and feed me? Because I haven't eaten since breakfast. So if Jim wants to come feed me, I'm ready and willing.
It is just a lettuce with dressing on it.
Oh, then I'm not
Like there's
impressed.
nothing but lettuce and dressing, but you know what? It was better than what I made, which was 0.
Adria, Adria, that vocabulary file, it's in the topic, it's added to the topic files as vocabulary.txt.
Vocabulary dot what?
TXT.
Oh, you're awesome.
It's in topic files.
.txt.
Thank you.
I think that there's a place that you can just run, like access it though.
Sure. So I'm looking for it now.
I thought there was a.
I haven't used it myself in a while.
I totally had forgotten about it myself. Really forgot all about it. Okay, while we're talking about things that we've forgotten about, this, I don't know if it's new or it must be new. This Roman macro. Let's say somebody says that they need a Roman numeral and it's Roman numeral 23. You just go to reformat Roman macro, then it's gonna give you this thing. You hit 23, you do convert, and it puts the Roman numeral there for you at the cursor point.
Where did you find that? Was it under reformat?
Hotkeys, I
Hotkeys.
believe. Wait, no. You were right, Sally. It is
Okay.
reformat.
Thank you.
Reformat Roman macro. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but under reformat, there's also time and date. And you can have it put in the different time and dates.
Back to the Roman, when you put in, for instance, 23, can you only put in a number or can you put in like the word level? I worked on a prison case, and so they had level Roman numeral 1 and 2 correction officers, but they had unit 1, 2, 3 regular. So I couldn't make all of the ones Roman because it depends on what word preceded it.
Oh,
So I just did a search and replace, and that was easy enough.
okay.
But in the Roman, you would only put in the number?
I would think so. Let's see what happens. LEVEL 13. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. The other
Yeah.
way worked fine too.
Yeah. It looks like, yeah, you'd have to put in just the number.
Mhm.
Okay. Speech. I was looking for if add words. I thought that there was a like add, but maybe I'm wrong. So you would go to add words from a list and you would just go and pick the list from topic files. So you'd go to C. Topic files, and then there's vocabulary txt. You'd select that, open, and run it through. So that's great. I really thought there was someplace that I could access it, but that's good enough. At least you have a place where you can start saving things. Okay, Roman numerals,
Miss
got that.
Adria?
What's
Miss
that?
Adria?
Yes,
Could we
darling.
not, could we not right click on that and make a shortcut to our desktop?
You sure
of the
could.
vocabulary tab?
Absolutely. Yes. You
Because
absolutely can.
that might be a little faster. I don't know.
It would definitely be faster. Virtually anything's faster than pathing all that way. So that's a great idea. And to do that, we just go to C, topic files, and do vocabulary, right click, send to desktop, create shortcut. There you go. And so now it would be much easier now because then I can go speech, add words from a list, preview next, add file, desktop, and vocabulary. Yep. So yeah, that'll be quicker for you. Okay, so I'm in captioning, and yes, you can add the word in captioning as well, Jody.
Awesome.
Okay, let's talk about, that's all I've got for the everything, but some of these things also do affect the court reporters, but we've only got a minute or two here. If you go to speech, no, it's captioning, I'm sorry. If you go to captioning and send to, why does it not, I can't send to multiple yet here. Dang it. That's something that's supposed to be done. Okay. We are supposed to, in here, we're supposed to be able to see send to multiple scopists. But it's supposed to say send to multiple, not send to multiple scopists. I'll show you that in a minute. Let me just, okay, so for you captioners, you should know that you can change your Dragon feed governor settings by using text feed, this icon here. And what you do is when you, you'll put in first the send interval, which I have at 5. I might want 0.5. I might want to put it at 0.75. And then when you do OK or enter, it'll say, please enter a new. So let me do, let's see, 0.7. And then how many characters? 32. So every 0.7 seconds, it's going to send 32 characters. This is going to also be copied into the real-time feature so that court reporters can use the drag and feed governor as well, because it controls how much text goes out and how often it goes out, which you
That's
guys
awesome.
who use real time can use that as well. So let's see if there was anything else. Okay, for those of you card providers. Okay, so if you go to captioning and caption feed settings, what you'll notice is there is now a button called Manage Custom Presets. You can go there and you can say, okay, so here's all my settings. I'm going to call it stream text and I'm going to save my settings. So you can actually save your settings. You can save multiple settings. And then once you have these settings set, you can do get preset information. This, I'm not sure if this works when you're connected to somebody, if it'll automatically get their preset information. I'm not sure. I need to find that out for you guys.
Now, does that create that as an additional station, or how does that work?
Well, what it's going to do is it's going to, like, let's say that you want to set a preset. Let's say that you don't have it set yet. So you'll say get the presets. I would open up the manage custom presets, then do get the presets, and it should pull it in and put it there for you. And then you just save the setting. Now, what I did was I created one for stream text. I created one for OneCap app. I created one for, I think, just the caption encoder, just a plain one. And it's, I guess I need to get more informed about this because it's not working the way I'm expecting it to work. So I'll have that information as well when I send the video link. Get preset info. Okay. I want to show you the send to multiple scopists, because it's going to be the same thing. It's going to work the same way for you captioners once it's in here. So I'm going to pop into real time. And show you what it looks like. And you'll see that it's okay. So if you go to real-time feed, send to multiple SpeechCAT scopists. This does not have to be I'm sorry, but something just happened that I didn't expect. Okay. Yes, I know it's for use with the internet only. Oh. Okay. Okay, so if you go to send to multiple, let's say that you're captioning, the caption encode, it's going to work the exact same way. You're going to put in the IP address, the port number, and then you're going to connect. You're going to have them connect first, then you're going to connect. Ping actually just pings. It goes and sees if it's actually making a connection to that IP address. So this is what is supposed to be in the captioning and cart screens as well, only it's not going to say scopists anymore. It's just going to say send to multiple in all the screens. Because whether you want to send it to a scopist or, I mean, you could be sending it, if you were a court reporter, you could send it to a scopist, you could send it to the judge, the attorney, you know, and even your partner if you're team reporting, you know. So you can send to up to 5, and it doesn't have to be just a scopist or just an attorney, or, you know, people can be totally doing different things. And you can send to all, and that is what is going to be also in the captioning screen.
So they will need to have software on their end, or is this a link just pops up to them, or is this another way of connection for on the captioning side of it?
Actually, this is if they're giving you an IP address and a port, because that's all we can do here is the IP address and the port. And they're receiving SpeechCAT viewer. They're receiving via SpeechCAT viewer or Bridge mobile, or, you know, any litigation support browser. They do have to have a browser open. Now, for captioners, for people that are receiving the captioning feed, we might have to discuss that, Jody, to make sure that I tell the programmer exactly what you guys need to have here, because this might not be enough information. We may have to have.
It is in our station. That's all we enter essentially. I mean, we put internet SpeechCAT IP address, port number. That's all we need to connect to an IP address when we send captions to an IP. So will this show up as captions on their screen, you know, this way? Because
I don't know.
This could be a way of multiple connections. This might be something much bigger.
Yeah, that's the whole point, is that we want to do multiple connections, but I don't know that we're going to have to test it, Jody.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure, you know, this is right now, it's only for real time. So we may have to tweak it once we put it into captioning, but it's nothing we can't do together.
Sure.
That
And
I
I
know.
have a great client that I could contact and say, hey, can I ask you, can I work a couple things out with you? You know, we're trying to better our, you know, whatever. And he'll
Yes.
totally test it with me.
Yes, great. That is all I have, you guys. That is all I have. Are there, reload real-time rules. Forgot about that. There's now a button for reloading real-time rules, because before you had to go to edit real-time rules, create the real-time rule. Well, you could do Alt F7, but then after you created the rule, you had to come back in here and do reload real-time rules, or you could do Alt F6. But when I started practicing for captioning, I thought, boy, it would be so much more helpful to me if I could just click that button. And so that's why I had the button added. That's why I'm excited about captioning, Jody, because I feel like I'm gonna just discover all this new stuff that I want to add to the program.
It's exciting. It's like new toys.
That's what excites me. What a geek. But that's what excites me. Any questions from anyone about anything?
I have one question.
I think I just missed what you were telling us about the governor. Is that not available to court reporter?
No, but we're making it available. And we're making it available because I believe that court reporters need to control their drop down too. Because court reporters, you know, I mean, it's all about, what I've learned is it's all about readability. And readability matters to anybody who's reading the feed, whether it's a judge or a hard of hearing person or a deaf person. You know, reading the text has to be, I don't know, it has to flow a certain way. And when one of the, I don't know if any of you have watched the way Eclipse drops right now, but it's like they're using the results box, because the text drops and then it comes away and then it drops again. But you see it like steady dropping. And Mandy showed it to me at convention. And I said, oh, that's the results box they're using. That's how they're getting it to write like that. And so I came back and talked to the programmer and said, see this? That's the way we're going to write. And so she's working on it right now. And that is the way we're going to have our text drop down as well. Because I think that's important for readability.
If you're given a feed, you know, it's, I
It
don't have to
is.
do that anymore, but when I did, I would have loved to have had that.
Right. You know, because you can control it. Like,
I mean, you can
one of
control somewhat, you know, by the way you talk, but if it's something that's like a civil case that it's just not familiar with at all, that's when I would get those big chunks and would just be sitting there waiting for it to drop.
yes.
So that'd
Yes.
be great.
Good. Well, we're definitely going to put that in. That is on the list to be put in to real time. Right now, it's only in court captioning.
So on those where you said you could send to like 5 transcriptionists, so is that like if I, where they could be literally cleaning it up as you go for everybody else? Because remember, used to, we were having a problem trying to
Right.
get that to work. So that problem's now gone.
I think so. I mean,
Awesome.
all we
So do they
all
have
we're
to hit
doing-
like, do they have to hit like refresh to get it to get their corrections to show up on everybody else that's looking at it, or it's just instantaneous?
It's instantaneous, but
Okay.
you can resend it. Like, let's say that it's not updating for whatever reason. Like, a
Okay.
lot of people will have like an iPad set up for themselves so that they see how it's dropping for the people that, you know, that are receiving it. And if you don't like the way it drops, it gives you the chance to make changes. And I think that's important. Because it all depends.
Adria, I don't recall. Can the attorney edit the viewer text?
They can annotate. They can bookmark.
And
They
if you
can bookmark.
and if you refresh the screen, will that stay with it?
Yes. Their bookmarks will be retained. Now, if you guys find that it's valuable and you want us to be able to have the attorneys, like, say, right click on the screen and add a note right there, I'm sure I can do that. I'm sure I can have her add that to the program, the ability to annotate. We're going to be updating viewer. So in the next 3 to 6 months, any of your desires for a viewing program, I'd like to hear them, because we're going to be moving to an internet feature, basically. Like, you know, all the attorneys will have to do is they'll be able to access the internet, and they can even receive it on their phones, because it'll all be internet driven, all be web driven, all be in the browser.
But if they annotate, then the other side's going to see it as well. So it wouldn't be
No.
if attorney A is over here at the, you know, if the state annotates,
Right.
then the defense is also going to see their note.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No, any annotation that is made from their side is theirs only. And
Okay.
remember, it's only for the duration of the job unless you give them otherwise. Because it's an option in SpeechCAT. I believe it's a real-time option. Yes. Right
I
beneath.
frankly wouldn't give attorneys that much power.
Yeah.
They may want it, but they don't need it,
But
and they will abuse it.
Truth. Truth. They will. So this is why you see how it says always show the save button in SpeechCAT viewer. That should be unchecked. Unless you want to give them your transcript, which I'm thinking you don't. So like I leave it unchecked, and that way, if somebody wants to purchase the real-time feed, then sure, go and uncheck it. But better to not have it checked than to have it checked by default.
Is the receiving attorney able to select the text and save it?
No. The only way they can save it is if you have a check in that box. Or they screen capture every single page. Which I'm thinking they don't even know how to do, so you're good. You guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time, Adria. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Adria.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
And have a
you.
great shower.
Oh, thank
Enjoy your
you.
shower.
Thank you. We're so excited.
Oh, yeah.
So very excited. You guys will all have to put up with me showing y'all pictures and talking all about him.
Yes, yes.
Bye, everybody. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.